when we judge the UN, as we should, is the UN Security Council, which is its, as it were, its cabinet. You know, it is its executive branch, and it is there that the United States, Russia, Britain, France, China have exerted their will, and again and again, favored a policy of not only non-intervention but non-involvement. Kofi Annan and the Secretariat have some independent decision-making authority, but the extent to which the UN is actually a building rather than an actor in and of itself, I think is worth stressing. I mean, it's a building where states come together to decide on what they want to do ultimately. And that should change, but it hasn't changed yet.
East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I like that tie also. Samantha, good morning to you.
Morning.
I blame the United Nations for our problem in Iraq, and I blame it for the massacre in Rwanda. These things should not have happened. Every country that belongs to the United Nations, they should have troops set aside to be ready to go for any problems regarding the United Nations. How do you feel about that?
Well, as I indicated to the last questioner, I'm a little skeptical of the United Nations anything, because I'm always wondering what people are talking about. It sounds like what you're describing actually is not the United Nations as an institution, but is the failure of the states within it to give troops to a merely humanitarian cause, such as genocide prevention or you know, nation building, post-war occupation, or reconstruction. I mean, these are, you're right, you're totally right that the United Nations doesn't have a standing army. And the only thing I guess I would challenge or ask for further clarification on is who is it that is depriving the United Nations of having those troops at its disposal? And it is, unfortunately, I think, the member states of the UN. What I would say about the UN that does seem very much in need of reform is the fact that we have a Security Council that makes decisions about when ethnic cleansing, let's say, has risen to the level that warrants external, you know, international force. To have on the Security Council Russia, you know, which is arguably committing something bordering on genocide in Chechyna, certainly massive crimes against humanity. China, you know, one of the great human rights abusers of our time. The United States, not in their category in terms of human rights abuses, but as a bypasser of international law and international institutions. France, an utter kind of World War II anachronism that has, I think, overstayed its welcome on the Security Council in terms of, you know, actually making it a representative body, a body representative of power, and a legitimate body in the world. This is a flawed institution that I think really needs work and attention, and rapid attention. And I would agree with you that if we could get that a first order of priority, if we're actually serious about genocide prevention on this 10th anniversary, that one of the first things we should be doing is rolling up our sleeves and saying, what countries now will put their money, or in this case, their money and their manpower, where their mouths are? Are we prepared to put at the disposal of the Secretary General of the United Nations a standing army of 5,000 to 10,000 troops? You know, it doesn't have to include Americans, South Africans, Canadians, Swedes. There are a number of countries that have actually equipped themselves very well in peacekeeping situations and who do seem to be ready to put troops on the line on behalf of things that don't directly implicate their national interests, because they have a sense of their nations as being part of a kind of global community, and where human interests bear indirectly, perhaps, in the long term on national interests. So I'm with you in terms of the importance of the standing army, but I just do want to, again, come back to the fact that it's domestic politics in each of the UN's member states that is having grave bearing on what comes out of the UN.
Samantha Power is a former reporter for